And welcome back for another awesome episode of Timers in the Class. Today's aim is EOG 6th grade review.
What is the value of parentheses 5 squared take away 10 close parentheses divided by 5 times 2 cubed?
So our first problem, we have parentheses 5 squared take away 10 close parentheses divided by 5 times 2 cubed. All right, Jamir? So what is the first thing that we do?
The parentheses.
Always. That's correct. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Orders of operation. We do our parentheses first. So inside our parentheses, we have two different things. We have exponents, which is an operation by itself. And then we also have a subtraction. So which one are we going to do first in the parentheses?
The exponents.
That's correct. We're going to do 5 squared. So the first thing we do is solve for that. So that's 5 times 5 is what?
5 times 5 was 25.
Right, because 5 squared, I'm just going to write it over here, is 5 times 5. So we get 25. Then we rewrite what is already there, which is to take away 10 and close parentheses. Then we rewrite the rest of the sentence divided by 5 times 2 cubed. All right, so now what else do we do? What's our next step?
The parentheses.
That's correct. We stay right into the parentheses. Great job for remembering. Remember, order of operations is how we solve all mathematical problems. So now with that being said, we're going to do 25 take away 10.
We get a 5.
Yep.
Then a 1.
Great job. So we get an answer of 15. I am going to now drop my parentheses because our last operation we just did. So now we have 15 divided by 5 times 2 cubed. All right? So now what's the next thing that we do? Remember, we think of our order of operations, which is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So which one are we going to do now?
Division.
Nope.
No.
So if you go down the list, remember, it's please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Right?
Yeah.
So P is for parentheses, correct?
Yeah.
We don't have any parentheses. The next down our list is what?
E for exponents.
Exactly. And we have exponents. So that's going to be the next one that we do. We have 2 to the cube. That means 2 times 2 times 2. So what's 2 times 2?
2 times 2 is 4.
All right. Times 2?
8.
Exactly. Great job. We get an answer of 8. So we're just going to write that answer right here underneath our 2 cubed. We're going to rewrite everything that's in front, which is times 5 divided by 15. All right. So now what are we going to do? We have both division and multiplication. What do we do now?
We do 5 times 8.
We don't. So remember, it's moving from left to right because division and multiplication are both on the same level, right? Even though it comes M first, but M and D both have the same, how do you say? They both have the same initiative, which means whichever you get to first, moving from left to right. So we start all problems from left to right. So we get to the division problem first. So that's the one we have to do first. So what's 15 divided by 5?
We get 3.
Right. Put 15 in the house, 5 on the outside. We get 3 groups. That's correct. Give us our 15. Nothing's left over. We get an answer of 3. I like to put that right up underneath my division sign, which means we've already answered that equation. And now we rewrite what's left, which is 3 times 8.
24.
Great job. 3 times 8 is 24. And that is the answer to our problem. Great job.
Paul had a job during his summer vacation. He earned $8.75 per hour. He worked 20 hours per week for 8 weeks. How much money did Paul earn?
So, as the problem says, Paul had a job during the summer where he earned $8.75. So we have our $8.75. And then it also says per hour, right? And he worked 20 hours. So that's going to be our first step. Our first step is 875 times 20.
5 times 0 equals 0. 0 times 7 equals 0. 0 times 8 equals 0.
A placeholder 0?
Right. And 2 times 5 equals 10. 2 times 7 equals 14, 15. 8 times 2 equals 16, 17.
Then we add that up.
Okay, we get 0, 0, and 5, 7, and 1.
Great job. How many decimal places?
2.
That's right. 1, 2.
So 175.
Yep, we get an answer of $175 is how much Jason has earned for his, Paul had earned for his 20 hours. Great job. So the second part of this problem, it says that he earned this amount of money for how many weeks?
8.
8 weeks. So now we take that 175 and it's dollars, but I'm not going to use this change. I'm just going to write the 175 and we're just going to multiply that by 8.
5 times 8 equals 40.
Correct.
5 times 8 equals 40. And 8 times 7 equals 56. 60.
Get a 60. Yep. Carry the 6.
8 times 1 equals 8. 14.
All right. So now we get how much?
1,400.
Yep. That's how much Paul has earned over 20 weeks of making $8.75 an hour for 8 weeks. He made a total of $1,400. Great job.
Which expression is equivalent to 25x take away 10y?
All right, so for our third problem, 25x take away y. We need to look at our choices and see which one of these will get us that expression. All right, so our first choice we have is 5 parentheses 5x take away 2y. All right, so in order for us to see if it reaches out to that, we have to do the distributive method. All right, so now we do 5 times 5 is
25x.
25x. Then 5 take away 5 times 2,
10y.
which is 10y. Exactly. So our first choice, A, gets us 25x take away y. However, we like to always do for practice, right? We like to work all our choices. So our next choice would be 5 parentheses 5x take away 10y. So we do the same thing, the distributive. We have 5 times 5 is
25.
25x. Take away 5 times 10 is what?
50.
So we get 50y. And that is not our choice. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. So choice C. We have 5 parentheses 20x. Take away 5y. Doing the distributive method. So when we have a 20, we can still look at this as 5 times 2.
Right, we get 100.
Exactly. Great job. Because 5 times 2 is 10. And we just add that last 0. And that gives us the 100. And then 5 take away 5 times 5 is
25y.
And we get 25y, which is not what we needed. All right. And so for our last choice that we have 5 parentheses 20x take away 10y. Doing the same distributive, we have 5 times 2 or 20 is
100x.
100x. Take away 5 times 10.
equals 50y.
50y. And once again, that does not equal the equation we needed. So our first choice was the correct choice that gave us the 25x take away 10. Great job.
Jim and Ed are debating the answer to the equation 2/3 m equal 1/4. Jim states that m is equal to 2 and 2/3. Ed states that m is equal to 3/8. Which statement is true?
So for our fourth problem, like you said, Jim states that m equals 2 and 2/3. So our equation is 2 over 3m, right? Equals 1/4. And Jim says that if we use 2 and 2/3, that we can get that to equal that. So we need to see. And how do we see is we rewrite the 2 over 3. Now, anything next to a letter, which is a variable, means multiplication. So I'm just going to put in parentheses our 2 and 2/3. Close parentheses. And I'm not going to write the equal 1/4 because we're just going to see, does it equal 1/4? So in order to do this problem, what's the first thing we need to do, Jamil?
Parentheses.
Not necessarily that it's parentheses, but we need to, because this parentheses just means multiplication, right? So this isn't your regular parentheses. A parentheses means there's an operation inside the parentheses, and that's why we do that first. This is the symbolization of multiplication, but we still do this first. And what are we doing in here first?
2 times 3.
So means we're changing this mixed number. This is called a mixed number. All right. So a mixed number means we have a whole number and a fraction. We need to change that to a what?
Improper.
Exactly. Into an improper fraction. And the improper fraction means we have a larger number on top of it, which means our numerator is going to be larger than our denominator. And in order to do that, we have to do what?
2 times 3 equals
right.
6.
We multiply our whole number by our denominator, and then we add our numerator.
And get 8 over 3.
We get 8 over 3. So I'm going to write 2 over 3. I'm going to keep it in parentheses just to symbolize, and I don't have to, but I just want to make sure that you guys understand that is multiplication. We can also just put a dot, and that's multiplication. And like he said, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So we get 8 over 3. Right? That's what we get. So again, this means multiplication, so then we're just going to fill in that to see. There's a few ways you can do this. You can divide this by 2/3 on both sides to see as well, right? But that's not what we're doing. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to see if these are equal. This side is equal to 1/4. So if we multiply these together, it should give us 1/4, or Jim isn't correct. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the multiplication. What do we get?
2 times 8 equals 16. 3 times 3 equals 9.
All right.
9 over 16.
Exactly. Now, we can see that we didn't get 1/4. And this is another improper fraction, correct?
Yeah.
And if we was to change that and put the 16 in the house, how many groups of 9 does it take to get to 16?
Yeah, 1 group.
Exactly. We subtract our 9 from doing a multiplication. 1 times 9 is 9. What's left?
We get 7.
7. So we would have 1 and 7 over 9. That is not equivalent to 1/4. Therefore, so far, Jim is not correct. Right? So we've already shown that Jim was incorrect. However, there are many ways to do things in math, and I would not be doing my due diligence if I didn't show you another way, which may be the way you prefer to do it. Like I said earlier, any number next to a variable means multiplication. So 2/3 m means 2/3 times m. So we can also divide by 2/3. So we're going to do that this time. We're going to divide both sides because what you do to one side, you must do the other. So we're going to divide by 2/3. And we're going to divide by 2/3. All right. So when we divide, because this was multiplication, so we do the opposite, which is divide, we get rid of that and we just have the m by itself like we want to find the value. Then we need to work this side. We have 1/4 divided by 2/3. So we rewrite the 1/4 times, we do the reciprocal. Which means the opposite. So now we do 3/2. And then we multiply across. So 1 times 3 is how much?
3.
And 4 times 2 is how much?
8.
So we get an answer of 3/8. Once again, that does not equal the 1/4 that we needed to get. So again, this proves that Jim is incorrect. All right, so now Ed says that 3/8 is what the value of M is, as we just seen. That 3/8 is the answer instead of the 2 2/3. Now, I just showed you that way, but I'm going to do it the first way as well, which was just replacing this because this side still has to equal this side. So we have 2/3. We're going to replace it with the 3/8. It's multiplication to see if we will get our 1/4. So what I like to do is throw the cross. Right, Jamir?
Yeah.
So when we throw the cross, we have 3 and 3. So if we divide by 3, we have 1 left. We divide by 3, we have 1 left. Correct?
Yeah.
Then we throw the cross again, and we have a 2 and an 8. If we divide by 2, we have 1. And if we divide by 2, we have 4.
Right.
So if we do the multiplication, 1 times 1 is what?
1 times 1 equals 1. And 1 times 4 equals 4.
So we get an answer of 1/4. Okay? That's the way that I like to do it. However, like I said, there's many variations in that, and you can do it whichever way you feel comfortable. So just like I showed you the last time, I did this way first. Now, I'm going to do it where we divide. So, again, this means multiplication. So, to get the answer, we must do the opposite. So, we're going to divide by 2/3. That means we divide this side by 2/3. We cross this out. We have our M equals. And with division, we can't do that. We must do the reciprocal. So, it's 1/4 times the 3/2. And as we just seen last time, we did what? 1 times 3 is
3.
And 4 times 2 is
8.
And we get our answer of 3/8. So either which way you do it, we found out that Ed is correct. So that would give us choice D, where Ed's answer of 3/8 is correct because he divided, right? He divided 1/4 by 2/3 to get his answer. I showed you you can do that, or you can replace the value of M with whatever someone suggested it to be, and it still should equal. Because when we have an equal sign, that means whatever's on this side and whatever's on the other side, that they both are the same amount. And if it's 1/4 here, then whatever's over there still has to equal 1/4. I showed 2 ways for you to find that, and whichever way is more comfortable to you. Me personally, I can go either way, but I do prefer the first way that I showed you because sometimes doing the division side when you're dealing with fractions can look a little difficult. So I like to teach you that you can just replace with the value and it's still going to show you the right answer. But either way, our answer is D for Ed. He was correct.
Jamal will cut a piece of wood that is 2 1/2 feet long into 1/4 foot sections. How many seconds will result.
For number 5, we already said that Jamal wanted to cut those pieces, right? So cutting those pieces in the same size pieces, that's going to be division. So we have 2 1/2. And I grabbed the wrong marker. See my black marker? All right, 2 1/2 divided by 1/4. All right, so when we have a mixed number, what do we need to do?
We have to change them.
Change it to what?
Improper fraction.
That's right. Mixed numbers, before you can do anything, needs to be changed into improper fractions. All right, so that's the first thing we do. So, how do we do that?
2 times 2 equals 4.
We multiply the whole number by the denominator, and we add the numerator, and what do we get?
2 times 2 equals 4, 5 over 2.
That's correct. We get 5 over 2. Great job. I like to write it exactly the way it is before doing the reciprocal. Why? You don't want to make any mistakes. So to me, it's best for you to first change it to the improper fraction, rewrite it exactly what you need to do so you're clear on what numbers you're working with, and then write it your third time to go ahead and solve. So 5 over 2, then we multiply, then we flip this over to be the reciprocal. That means we change it, we flip it. So now we get 4 over 1, right? But we always wrote across. If you watched our other video, it showed you in-depthly of what throw across means. That means we look both ways diagonally to see if they share anything in common. We have a 5 and a 1. There's nothing we could do for that. But a 2 and a 4, we could do something with, correct?
Right. So the 4 we get a 2, and the 2 we get a 1.
So that's correct. But just let them know, we're dividing by 2. So we divide 4 by 2, we get 2 left. If we divide 2 by 2, there's 1 left. That's how we do that, right? And then we do our multiplication straight across, and we get what?
5 times 2 equals 10. 1 times 1 equals 1 equals 10.
Exactly, because any number over 1 is just that number. So then the answer is going to be 10. See, he get 10 pieces, 10 sections he'll be able to cut if he have 2 1/2, and he divide those in 1/4 sections. Great job.
Tanya pays $300 each month to rent an office where she earns $25 per hour. Tutoring students, which equation represents Tanya's profit Y for working X hours.
Right, so we know that Tanya pays $300 each, right, each month for the office, and she earns $25 an hour. So we need to know which equation is going to represent that. So if our Y stands for profit, right, and X stands for hours, then we need to know which of these equations works, right? So the best way to look at that is going to be what's happening here, right? So Tanya, she's spending her money, right? So anytime you're paying, she's paying $300, right? That would be subtracting, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So our choice A says Y equal 25 plus 300X, okay? So let's keep in mind that the profit is the Y. And Y is what she has left over. So it should be a Y equal, because all of our choices says Y equal. So that's our profit, right? We want to know what she has left. And then the inside of here, we need to know how she spent her money to get to that profit. Now, we already know pay means subtract. So the first one is Y equal 25 plus 300X. Well, X stands for the hours. And if we look back at the problem, she worked 25 hours, $25 per hour, but we don't really know how many hours that is. It didn't tell us. So therefore, the X shouldn't be next to the 300 because that's signifying or referring to the money that she pays for the rent. So we wouldn't have our X there. We need to have our X next to the money that she's earning an hour, because that's what it stands for, hours. So she earned $25 per hour, right? So our X needs to be next to our 25. So if we look at our choices again, choice B is Y equal 25X plus 300, right? So that's saying 25 hours, $25 per hour. That's correct. But is she adding $300? No, she's paying something, which means she need to be taking away. So if we look at choice C, we got just 25 with no X. So that just means 25. That's not representing the hours that she worked. So our only equation could be D, where it has 25X take away the 300. So this means the $25 per hour, X means hours, and 25 is what she worked, right? 300 means, subtract means you gave out. And she paid 300. And after she did that, whatever was left is going to be her profit. So that means D is going to be our only choice, which is Y equal 25X, take away 300.
The table represents the number of runs scored by several baseball teams during a season.
All right, so for number 7 is the box plot. Okay, and so the first thing we need to do is a 5 summary of all the numbers. Jamia, please help me with the numbers. We got 129,
132,
132,
138,
138,
142,
142, 147,
148,
ooh, 148, okay,
150,
150, 150, 150, come on, 153,
153, 175,
191,
191,
197, and 221. All right, thank you. All right, so these are our numbers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so we got 14 numbers, and we need to fill out our 5 summary, which is our minimum, our Q1, which is our lower quartile, our median, our higher quartile, and our max. Okay, so what is the smallest number that we have up here? Where does our chart start from?
129,
So we get a 129. And where does our chart stop at?
221.
221. So those are the easiest ones to automatically fill in. Is just the beginning and the end of your chart. All right, so for us to get our median, we're going to do exactly that. So help me with the median. So what do we have to do?
129. 129 to 221.
Okay.
132 to 197. 138 to 191. 142 to 175. And 147 to 153. And 148 to 150.
All right. So now we have 2 numbers here left, which we have to use both of them together to get our median. So we're going to add those 2 together. Now we're going to do the mean in order to get what our actual median is. So 150 plus 150 is how much?
We get 0 and 10. 1 plus 1 equals 2. And we get 3.
All right, so we get 300, but we have 2 numbers, and we're doing now the mean. So we have to divide by those 2 numbers, so we divide by 2. So what do we get? 2 divided by 3.
We get 1 group.
Do the multiplication. 1 times 2
Equals 2. we get a 1 and bring down to 0.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a 5.
Then we get our 10. We don't write the 0. We bring down the next 0. We only could get 0 groups. So we get an answer of 150. So 150 is going to be our median. Great job. All right. So for now, for us to get our Q1, we're going to take the median since we have 14 numbers. We're going to take our median of the first 7 numbers. Okay? So I'm just going to use them since they're already here. Instead of rewriting them, we're just going to go back over them. So we get a 129, right?
Yeah.
To the 150, correct?
Yeah.
Then we get a 132. Come on, let me know. To the 148.
The 138
Mm-hmm.
to 147.
Yep. And then we get 142. That's our middle number. So that's going to be our Q1 lower quartile of 147. 142. So we're going to do the same thing with our last 7 numbers, right? We're going to just get the median. So come on. We get 150 to 221. Then
150
to 197. Then
153
mm-hmm.
to 191.
Mm-hmm. And then we get a middle number of 175. All right. So now this is how we answer all 5 questions to answer the real question of our box plot. So if you look at your choices on the box plot, the first one, A, is going to be our choice. Why? Because our whiskers come out to 129, which shows where our box starts. All right, we back. Jameer's continuously growing. I don't know if you can hear his hiccups, but he's growing by the mile, by the second. All right. So now, back to our chart. Like I was saying, if you look on the choices, we have the box whiskers. We have the end whisker starts at 129, like our minimum number shows. Then if you notice the line in between, it shows you at 150. That's going to be our median. Then if you look at the first box before that, that's going to show us to be at 142, which is our lower quartile. Then at the end box, it's going to stop at 175, which is our higher quartile. And then the end whisker stops at 221. So choice A would be that first choice and the correct choice to represent these numbers. Great job.
Which order pair represents a reflection of the point -3 to 5 across the y-axis?
So for number 8, we are looking at the reflection across the y-axis. -3 is our x. Y is our 5 is our y. All right, Jameer. So when we're going across the y-axis on reflection, what stays the same?
The 5.
Exactly. The 5 stays the same. So our new coordinate means the x should change to what?
To a positive.
Exactly. So our new coordinate should say 3 for x and 5 for y, and that is going to be D. Great job.
Which statement is true?
All right, so these we're going to just compare numbers to see which one is correct. So our first one is 0.04 hundredths, and it says that it is less than 0.04 thousandths. Is that correct? And how do we see before you answer? I like to line them up. So 0.04 and 0.004, right? So how do we see? What do? We draw a line through, correct?
Right, the zeros are the same, and the other zeros are the same, and the difference is at the 4, so that's bigger.
So this is our bigger number, which means is this correct or false? Is this sign of 4 hundredths is less than 4 thousandths?
No, it's false.
Exactly. It would be false. Good job. So now we got 8.2, which is 8 and 2/10, is less than 8 and 2/100. Okay, so we do the same thing. We line them up. So I have the 8.2 here. I'm short on space, so I'm just going to write the 802, and we're going to do the same thing. So our 8s are the same.
Right, in the 2, so that means 8.2 is greater.
All right, so 8.2 is greater. So what does this say? This says 8.2 is less than. Is that correct?
No.
All right, that one is incorrect as well. Great job.
It's bigger than.
It is bigger than. All right, so now we have 7 and 6/10, and we have 7 and 67/100. So we're going to do the same thing to see which one is bigger, which one is smaller.
The 7s are the same.
Mm-hmm.
6s are the same. And you have the 7. So 7.67 is greater.
Exactly. And it says here that 7.6 is greater than 7.67. So is that correct?
Yeah.
That is correct. And just to check the last one, because I like to work all of them, we have 0.03 hundredths is less than 0.003 thousandths. So we do the same thing. We line them up and we check to see where our change comes.
The zeros are the same. The zeros are the same. And the 3. So 0.03 is bigger than.
Is bigger than. So that is incorrect. And this one, 7 and 6/10, is smaller than 7 and 67/100. Great job.
Andy runs the same number of miles X every week. His total distance run each week is less than 60 miles. Which inequality represents how many miles Andy runs each week?
So for our last problem for today, as we said, Andy runs the same number of miles X every week. His total distance runs each week is less than 60 miles. What does that mean, less than 60 miles? If X represents the number of miles every week that he runs, and it says that that is less than 60 miles, what sign should we have here? Should we have a greater than?
Less than sign.
All right, great job. But when you say less than, what's less than? Is the X less than, or is the 60 less than?
60.
So which one's greater?
The X is greater.
All right, so that means we should have our... No. We should have... Think about the problem again. Andy runs the same number of miles, X. Right? This is Andy running every week. The total distance that he's run each week is less than 60. So this is what he's running. 60's here. That means he runs less than 60, means 60 should have greater. And he runs less than. So this is what he runs. Okay? And he runs less than 60. All right? So it wasn't the first one, which is X is greater than or equal to 60, because it didn't say at least 60. And it wasn't less than or equal to, because it didn't say as much as or at most. And it wasn't X is greater than 60, because it already says that each week is less than. So it's a... Concludes the end of our video. I really hope that you got something out of it. And always remember, it's not what you don't know, but what you're willing to learn. Until the next time, catch you there.